Greetings, fellow humans. I'm Martian Boo, and today I'm going to go through the new Starcraft mini set for Hearthstone and just talk about how good I think the cards will be, mostly for wild, but also I guess for standard if I think of it. But anyways, getting right into it, we have, what's important about this one is all of these cards are faction specific, kind of like the gang cards from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. You know how like Kazakus can only be used in 3 classes even though it otherwise looked neutral. So most of the neutrals from this set are only allowed to be used in very specific classes, and then the classes each have some cards that are of that faction but can't be used in the other classes that can use that faction. So I think a good streamer would have had handy which classes are in which thing, but I am not, so we're just gonna get right into it. So Death Knight obviously here is one of the Zerg classes. This is the Zerg symbol here. And yeah, so Viper, it's a 4 mana 5/3 battle cry. Summon a minion from your opponent's hand. Your other Zerg minions attack, gain reborn, and attack it. So it's a dirty rat that also removes the minion. Summon a minion from your opponent's hand, your other Zerg minion. So the Viper itself doesn't attack it. You have to have other ones to remove it. Interesting. I think it's good, like for a Zerg deck, probably. But it's an expensive dirty rat if you're just going to run it on its own. But if you're going to put this in your deck, you're probably running Zerg stuff anyway. So I don't know. I think it might be good. We'll have to look at the whole package to see if it'll be any good in wild. Then we have Infestor. It's a 3/4 3/2 death rattle. Your Zerg minions have +1/+1 for the rest of the game. Seems good, but yeah, it's not even costs, so we can't run even DK. And then there are only 2 Death Knight cards, huh? No, this is the Death Knight card. I thought it was a Demon Hunter card. I guess the green, like I was looking at the top there, where it shows the upcoming cards. It looked kind of green, like it matched Demon Hunter, but it is in fact a Death Knight card. So anyways, Infestor, this is obviously going to be really good when you have it like early on in standard. Is it good enough for wild? Probably not. I have seen the heroes, and I think the Kerrigan, the Zerg hero, is good enough to run on its own. So like that alone, I think we'll see some play in wild. We'll get to that in a minute. But then as far as the supporting package, I don't know. Then we have get a 1/1 Baneling that explodes. If you control a Zerg minion, get another Baneling. What happens when it explodes? Get not summon. Okay, so like you play a 1/1/1 and then you get another 1/1 in your hand. I actually don't know what happens when it explodes. What happens when it explodes? Deal damage equal to this minion's attack to all enemy minions. Okay, so you can hand buff it. That is kind of good, isn't it? That's the first one that seems like really good to me. You get a 1/1 that death rattle deal 1 to all enemy minions. Hand buff is fake, so I don't know that that's happening. But oh, you know what though? Your Zerg minions have +1/+1 for the rest of the game, so this becomes a 2/2 if you've had one of those die. So this seems like standard cool. I'm still not seeing it in wild, especially because you can't run it all even. But it's interesting. It's gonna be fun to make, I think, at least. We'll see what the like neutral Zerg stuff is. So then for Demon Hunter, we have Lurker, which is a favorite minion of mine. So I used to, like, I didn't really get into StarCraft 2, but StarCraft 1 and its expansion Brood War, I was way into as a kid. I've played it so many hours of it. And Zerg was my favorite, and Lurker is one of my favorite minions. So these guys dig underground and they shoot spikes at enemies. So after a friendly minion attacks, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. Or 2 if your minion is a Zerg. So it's a 4 for 2/6, which is pretty decent. After a friendly minion attacks, deal 1 damage. So when it attacks, it matters too. to a random enemy so it can go face. Isn't this good? It triggers on any minion and then just does more damage if it's a Zerg. So yeah, that seems good. Then we have Mutalisk, 4 for 5/2, also damages minions next to whomever this attacks. That seems pretty whatever. And the hero if a neighbor is missing. The hero if a neighbor is missing. Does this work like if your opponent only has one minion out? If your opponent has no minion, also damage minions next to whomever this attacks, and the enemy hero if a neighbor is missing. It doesn't deal 20 damage if it goes face on an empty board, does it? Only deals damage once. Okay, so like if you're attacking to a single minion, it's not dealing 10. It'll do just 5 to the enemy hero. All right. So this is like the best version of this effect, but it's pretty fragile, right? So I'd be surprised if this was even good enough for standard, but we'd have to look at the rest of the cards first. Like a 5/2 is pretty, like 4 for 5/2 is pretty weak. That's gonna die. Can we give it rush? Your Zerg minions have +1 attack and rush. Okay. all right. Yeah, I can see it. The name of this card has entitled so many people to be annoying. The day this got revealed, my Twitter was full of people being obnoxious. It's ugh. Anyways, your Zerg minions have +1 attack and rush. How good is this generally? Seems pretty good with Lurker. And this is not a good card on its own. Becomes a decent card with this. So I think this sees play if you need a certain amount of Zerg density, or if there are other ways to conveniently give rush. And I guess standard has the finale card, right? So yeah, maybe. Still not saying anything for wild. On to druid. Druid has Protoss. This is the Protoss symbol. I think there are 2 more Zerg ones, so they're not all in order based on faction, but they're in order based on class, which makes sense. So more Zerg to come, more Zerg classes to come. So this is an immortal. It is a 7 mana 5/8 mech. Taunt, Divine Shield, Battlecry, spend 4 mana to double this minion's stats. So you'll notice that that's 11 mana. A lot of the Protoss cards have effects that discount your other Protoss cards. So including the hero, which just adds a flat 2 mana discount to all of your Protoss minions. So this thing is not going to cost 7 when you actually play it. So that's how you can get the total 11 mana you need to double its stats. Taunt, Divine Shield, and then if you pay the 4 extra mana, it's a 10/16. I mean, if you activate that, it's really strong. I'm probably gonna have some fun with this. Then we have Carrier, which is 12 mana. Again, you know, like the Protoss are designed to be discounted. At the end of your turn, summon 4 4/1 interceptors that attack random enemies. I like that as far as like being flavor fun. I'm kind of excited to play this. Protoss was my second favorite class, and like amassing carriers was the most fun thing to do in Protoss. So that's a pretty cool effect. Like you would just go around with your, you know, your dozen carriers, and there'd be this giant sea of moving like things attacking the enemies. It was pretty fun. At the end of your turn, so 4/1s attack random enemies. The fact that this can go face means it's likely gonna not clear the board sometimes. But like the fact that it can go face means it's like ridiculous pressure, right? So yeah, you can get this out. Like it has 14 health. It has 14 health, chat. Is this gonna be a monster in standard? I guess like standard is full of really easy removal, right? Like we've gotten a bit trigger happy with the single target removal. Opponent just bobs this. But yeah, there's so many ways to cheat this. I can't imagine you want to play it from hand basically ever. But don't they have like a bunch of discounts? They have like a mega discounts for this. I don't think it's gonna be hard to get this in play whether you cheat it or not. So anyways, yeah, seems good. So yeah, here's the preparation for Protoss stuff. Your next Protoss card this turn costs 2 less. All right, seems good. All those seem good. Like that's like this alone, knowing the hero, I think is enough to make me want to play a Protoss druid deck in wild. Like it's gonna be good enough for a Marshy video for sure, but I don't know how like competitive it's gonna be. So then we're back to Zerg. So Hunter is Zerg also. Hydralisk, Marshy's favorite Zerg minion ever. It's a 3 for 4/2. Battlecry, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. Repeat for each other Zerg minion you control. Huh. I know that there's like Zergling is you know, 1 mana summon a Zergling. So it's gonna be pretty easy just to have Zergs out. Yeah, like Wolpertinger. So that could be good. And it's 3 mana instead of 4 mana, which I think is the last time I saw an effect like that. So I don't know. I think this will be good. Will it be good in wild? Probably not. We'll see though. Roach. So 2 for 2/2. When you draw this, get a copy of it. Oh, it's not a beast. I was like, if this is a beast, it's already, well, not already better than Mule for like harpoon gun. But if you control another Zerg minion, game +1/+2. I think like all the Zergs would have to be beasts. Why aren't the Zergs beasts? But they'd all have to be beasts, and you have to run like a few of them, I guess, for it to beat out Mule for harpoon guns shenanigans in wild. But I don't know. Funny. They're really going for the hand buff thing with this, huh? Give your minions +1 attack. Give your Zerg an extra +1/+1. So give your Zerg minions +2/+1 for 2. I don't know. It seems kind of mid by standard, by like modern standards. Meh. I'm not like, I like the Hydralisk. I'm not really excited about the other 2 Hunter cards. All right, then back to Protoss for Mage. So again, like all the Protoss have a discount this type of synergy thing going on, and it's not just limited to Druid where you would normally expect that type of stuff. So now we have a 12 mana thing that requires other cards to discount it. So deal 1 damage to all enemies twice. Improved by Protoss spells you cast this game. And so that improves the damage it deals, right? Like it's not gonna do 2 damage 3 times or anything, right? It's just literally just the damage. So if you cast a couple, you're dealing 6 damage to all enemies. Seems not bad, honestly. Like if you can get it in play, obviously. Deal 5 damage to a minion and get a random Protoss spell. Pretty good, especially because all the other ones seem to be pretty cheap, right? Like 3 mana, get a cheap spell. Seems good. Yeah. Gain 6 armor. Your next Protoss spell costs 2 less. So we're relying on the neutrals to get this playable. Interesting. It doesn't have anything that discounts your minions. Well, yeah, like you have Artanis is going to discount it, but like, is Warpgate, is that a neutral? Probably. 2 for 6 armor in Mage? Huh. I feel like a spell that just gives you a flat amount of armor, no like tricks attached, no need to interact with anything, that gives you like a set amount of flat armor. That's not magey, right? That's warrior armor. And it's not even frosty, right? Like the reason mage has armor is because of ice barrier. Why does mage have this card? Is not, there's nothing magey about this card. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know why I'm caring about flavor that's down the tubes. Class flavor rather. All right, so on to Terran finally. So this is our first Terran one. is paladin. So 4 for 4/4 mech. Your other minions have +1 attack. Transforms if you've launched a starship this game. So your other minions have +2 attack and rush. So if you've launched a starship, the Terran stuff has ways to launch little tiny starships. You mean mage has ice barrier, but that's like a secret, right? Like it's a flat amount of armor, but there's a little trick to it. You know, just giving like a flat armor effect is, I guess they have that one like skeleton Nathria card. Like I don't know why that has armor on it. Cold case, yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like mage design to me at all. Anyways, so your other minions have +1 attack. Transforms if you launch a starship. So if you've launched a starship, it's +2 attack and rush. Whereas this is not rush. And the Terran stuff launches little mini starships, so it's like easier to launch a starship in this than it is in other stuff, I think. So this seems good if it's easy to launch a starship, right? Like that's pretty good. But if it's hard to launch a starship, it's obviously horrible. So this is a starship piece. Gain +1/+1 for each other friendly minion. Also triggers on launch. Remember when like, what was that stupid wolf thing? It wasn't Wolf Rider. It was Frost Wolf something. It was like 5 for, was it a 4/4? And it gained +1/+1 for each other friendly minion. It was a 4/4. Okay, Frostwolf Warlord. Okay, and that saw a brief amount of play after the nerf of level up in Odd Paladin. It was pretty funny, but it has that exact same thing. This has that exact same text, except 3 mana cheaper. How good is it going to be for 3 mana cheaper? I imagine not very, right? There's a 2 mana version with tradable. That one is off of enemy minions. The tradable one that gets +1/+1 for each minion is enemy minions. Enemy minions and friendly minions are 2 very different asks, and this is much better. So, no, it's friendly. Oh, the neutral one. Yeah. Okay, I was thinking of the Ring of whatever Paladin card that costs the same as this. But yes, there's one that costs 1 more with tradable in neutral. That's true. And that was like the worst card in Odd Paladin when it came out, right? Like Odd Paladin was briefly real in Stormwind when that card was released, and until they nerfed Battlegrounds, Battlemaster, and Conviction. It was like, it felt mid in that deck. But anyways, how good is this? I don't know. Probably not very. But like the fact that it re-triggers when you launch a starship, right? Like it's a decent starship piece. It's just not a good card on its own, I don't think. So then we have Salvage the Bunker. 3 for summon 2/2/2 Marines with taunt. Your next starship launch costs 2 less. 2/2/2 Marines with taunt. Your next starship launch costs 2 less. Seems good, right? It's like slightly boring stats, but sets up your launch to be cheap, and you need to be launching for your cards to work. So, yeah. All right, more Protoss. This time for Priest. Again, it's a 12 mana. You're meant to discount it. So it has Taunt, Battlecry. It's a 10/10. Wow. Taunt, Battlecry, and Death Rattle. Get 2 random Protoss minions. Okay, so you get like the giant minions. I forgot about these like cheapy rogue ones. Huh, cool. Also, something of note, all these 12 mana minions, if you bob a a mountain giant, it's going to transform into them, right? So you can turn your 8/8 mountain giant into a 10/10 taunt with Death Rattle, get 2 random Protoss minions. And what were the other ones? This is pretty. This will be like a downgrade, right? I guess that'll be situational. Like if you bob your mountain giant, It's like easier to remove, but the effect is nice. And then this is just cracked. You just win if this happens. If you bob your Recombobulator transforms your sorry, I'm saying Bob, but like Bob is a real card now. We used to call Recombobulator Bob. Recombobulator transforms a minion into another random one of the same cost. So like imagine evolving a Snowflare Giant. True. It's unknown if you can evolve into Starcraft minions if you don't start with one in your deck. Interesting. Well, assuming you can, that's so far it's 2 out of 3 really good rolls. Okay, then we have summon a copy of a friendly Protoss minion. It takes double damage. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Lifesteal, death rattle your Protoss minions, cost 1 less this game. Wow. For mage and priest, the discount seems really minimal. We'll see what the neutral Protoss cards are. All right, then on to rogue, which is also Protoss. We have Dark Templar, stealth, battlecry, destroy an enemy minion, and then if you play another Templar, they merge into an Archon. So 6 for 5/3 stealth, battlecry, destroying enemy minions seems like standard solid as of like 2 years ago, at least. I don't know. But we have extra synergy. So at the end of your turn, deal 8 damage to the enemy hero and 2 damage to their minions. That's pretty good. So there are 2 different types of Archons. Starcraft 2 didn't believe in Dark Archons, so they just had all the Templar turn into Archons. In Brood War, your High Templar, when you merge them, they would become an Archon, and your Dark Templar, when you merge them, would become a Dark Archon. And you could use the Dark Archon to steal enemy minions, and it was really fun. And what I really liked about doing that was I would steal an SEV from Terran opponents and a drone or whatever it was called. It's called a drone, right? Whatever the basic unit was from the Zerg, and then I could use those to build all of the Terran and Zerg structures. So I could build my own command center and then use a queen to infest the command center without having to steal my opponent's command center to do it as Zerg. So that was my funny Dark Templar shenanigans, but they didn't bring that was my funny Dark Archon shenanigans, but they didn't bring that back for StarCraft 2, at least as of when I was playing. They just all merged into Archons, like is what's happening here. Anyways, so if you get, this one is 6 for 3/5, so it's the opposite stats, and it's deal 2 damage to all enemies on a battlecry, which is something. They seem expensive for a rogue. But yeah, if you can get any 2 of them out, you get this thing. And this thing is pretty good, right? At the end of your turn, deal 8 damage to the enemy hero. It's an 8/8, and you deal 2 damage to the minions. So I hope that's decent. Then we have Blink, which is, okay, the funny thing about Blink, chat, is Blink is an iconic Warcraft mage spell. Blink should have been especially considering that mage is also doing Protoss. Blink 100% should have been a mage spell if they were going to do it. But, you know, Warcraft flavor, who cares these days, I guess. So 2 for draw a Protoss minion, combo it costs 2 less. Oh yeah, like I was I was thinking about casting these for their raw cost, but whatever the neutral discounts are will probably apply to them just fine. So yeah, you draw a Protoss minion, and especially if you keep it to just these 2, you know, you'll pretty consistently get your Archon out. I don't know, it's cute. Then we have Shaman, which is also Terran. Giving Terran to Shaman is interesting, because I feel like Shaman is very earth magic. Like, Shaman is very earth magic. They're not very, like, Rogue. I feel like Rogue and Hunter and Warrior, and I guess Paladin, are the 4, like, most Terran-y feeling classes. I don't know. Like, a mage class getting Terran is interesting. Like, nothing, or like a magic class getting Terran is a choice. But I don't know. So Siege Tank, It's a 5 for 5/5 mech. Deal 10 damage to a random enemy minion, and then if you've launched a starship this game, it transforms into the deployed siege tank, which deals 10 damage to a random enemy and the excess damage enemy minion, and the excess damage hits the enemy hero, which seems pretty good. So as long as you can reliably launch a starship before you want to play this, then I think this is going to be a really, really good minion. Siege tanks are my dad's favorite minion from Starcraft. Or I don't know that they're his actual favorite. He just used them a lot because they were good in Starcraft Brood War. They're like, they could sit really far away and just like ping your base from a reasonable distance. I don't know that, like, so they had like mediocre attack stats while they were in this form, and then they could like slowly bring their little legs out and make themselves unmovable, and that's when they would be in this deployed state. Like, you can see the little clamps there. So the idea is to get your siege tanks in a position to where it's hard for the enemies to immediately interact with them, and deploy them to deal an unreasonable amount of damage from an unreasonable distance away. So that's what's happening here. Hold on. Then we have Missile Pod. So 2 for 1/3 mech. Star piece. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Also triggers on launch. That's super modest. Man, 2 for 1/3 mech. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Battle cry seems like a really good card a few years ago. Now I'm like, I guess it's okay. Is there any way to get poisonous on a mech in wild? It's only in Hunter, right? Oh, it's the little spark bots can do it. So yeah, you can build your own Flurgle Toxman if you're lucky. Cool. Then lock on, set a minion's health to 1. Your next starship launch cost 2 less. Set a minion's health to 1. Isn't that a very paladin effect? Paladin has Terran too. It's weird. It's weird what's happening here. Set a minion's health to 1. Your next starship launch. Oh, but it combos, right? Like, you can, you know, for 2 mana, you can do those two together. All right. Interesting. I think there's a starship piece that gives keywords. Oh, maybe. Rip Hunter's Mark. True. Hunter's Mark still costs 1, right? Like, it never got unnerfed to 0, but it did get unnerfed from 2. Yeah, this effect in Hunter with no, like, minus the starship part, that was that got nerfed to 2 mana at one point. Crazy. It's the stupid kobold candle. All right, back to Warlock, or back to Zerg rather, but this time for a Warlock. Remove 1 durability from a friendly location to restore 8 health to your hero. Remember when Chamber of Viscidus or whatever it was a 2 mana location with 3 durability? Ridiculous. Anyways, that seems good if there's a location worth playing with it. You try not to remember? Okay, fair. 3 for Ultralisk Cavern. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Has 3. So every time you use it, you deal 1 damage to all enemies. And then Death Rattle, summon an 8/8 Ultralisk with Rush. Huh. It was pointed out to me that this doesn't have Cleave. And yeah, it should have Cleave, right? Because they have Cleave in the game. But yeah, you want to race through this, right? So like, this becomes a really good card with it. I'm not really getting the flavor. Like, you're consuming the Ultralisk Cavern juice, whatever. This could almost be wild playable, to be honest, right? Because like, deal 1 damage to all enemies is already okay, but getting to power through it and heal yourself for 8 in order to summon the 8/8 with Rush, maybe. 2 for 1/6 can't attack, has +3 attack if you control a location. So this is it has taunt. So this is like awful. So bad. Oh man. I mean, like, you know, that once upon a time this was good, right? Maybe I'm underselling it, because like, if you're a slow Warlock and you want to have something to play against No. I keep like having to tear myself away from the conditions for Tar Creeper, right? I'm conditioned to process this effect as a Tar Creeper effect, but it's not on your opponent's turn. It's if you have a location. So yeah, I don't know. Having a location is a big ask, I think. Interesting. I don't know. We'll see if there's more locations. I actually forget. Wait. So in standard, this is all you have. Oh, but there's a neutral one. There's a neutral location. So you run 2 of these in standard. I think it gets a little better in standard at least. But like, I don't get the sense that aggro is really a thing in standard the same way it is in wild. And I would want Spinecrawler for anti-aggro, not anti-mid-range. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Then we have Thor. So deal 5 damage. It's an 8 for 8/8 mech. We're into warrior now, which is also Terran. It's not neutral, just shared for Zerg. Yeah, I mean, like, I've been talking about them in the context that they're neutral Zerg stuff. Like, I know that only the Zerg classes can play it, but that's just how I've been talking about it. We covered that at the beginning. So 8 for 8/8 mech, deal 5 damage, transforms if you've launched a starship this game. So deal 5 damage, and then so if you've launched a starship, it will repeat for each starship you've launched. I think this is a Starcraft 2 minion. Sorry. So I'm not super familiar with it. Like, I don't have like a lot of nostalgia for it, but like, it's a giant thing and it transforms a little bit if you've done something. Yeah, I don't know. But so deal 5 damage, repeat at a random enemy. So you only get to direct the first 5. The rest is random. I smell something bad. It seems duty to me. So I've seen the criticism that you actually don't need this to transform. Like, it could just say, but the card is functionally the same, right? Like, it could just say repeat at a random enemy for each starship you've launched this game. But like, I don't know. It shows you that you've launched a starship this game. I think it's fine. I don't like, it seems like a funny thing to criticize, frankly. Like, it does do something different if you've launched a starship. It just does it again each time you launch a starship. Seems like a pretty, who cares? It's fine that it transforms. Anyways, Yamata Cannon. So the Yamata Cannon, the big fancy battle cruiser from Starcraft, has this big like cooldown it can use that deals a ton of damage. And this is it. So what you could do is you could get a bunch of battle cruisers ready and bring them all at once to your opponent's like main structure and use all of their Yamata cannons at once, and then make it so that they can't like harvest any resources and stuff, or however you want to do it. It was pretty fun, pretty cool. So it's a starship piece, and you destroy a random enemy minion, also triggers on launch. That seems okay. Battlecry, destroy a random enemy minion, 4 for 3/3. That's fine, right? It's like good several years ago, but like fine as far as like a synergy piece. I don't know. Seems like both of these seem a little honest to me, not gonna lie. Then we have concussive shells. So 1 for deal 2 damage and gain 2 armor. Rip sword and board. Your next starship launch costs 2 less. That's cool. So I always like to run sword and board in like control-y warrior decks in wild, because you can hit your own Barov with it. You can either use it to remove some like shadow aggro priest minion, or you can use it on your own Barov to clear the board. It's kind of versatile for that reason. But so yeah, it's gonna make Barov a nice thing to run with this in whatever Marshy video where I play Starship Warrior. Your next starship launch costs 2 less. Yeah, it seems decent. Then we have Grunty, which is the only true neutral in the whole set. So all the other neutrals are like faction neutrals. Every class within the faction can use them. Grunty is actually neutral. You can run it in any class. So 8 for 3/4, summon 4 random murlocs, then shoot them at enemy minions. You pick the targets. So it's like the what you call it? It was a Dead Minds minion. 8 for 8/8, choose 4 things, deal 2 damage to them. So it's like that. Do you get them first and then you shoot them, right? Huh. Sneed, thank you. Yeah. I don't know. This might be better than Sneed. Does the average does the average Murloc have more than 2 damage? Because like Sneed felt almost playable when it came out. It felt like just shy of good. So I'm trying to think of like this would be decent removal in standard, but I'm not sure. If you get Cookie in standard, you're cooking. Yeah, the new Cookie, the one that transforms dead minions into something else. This card is Giga Trash. How dare you? I don't know. I think it might, like, the fact that if Murlocs average more than 2 damage, like, I could see this being good, but I'd have to like look at that. Well, here we have the average Murlocs. So 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 6, 3, 3 could make your other ones good. 2, 1, 1, not looking good. 2, 1. This would get buffed depending on the order. So 1 plus 4, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1. Yeah, I think this kind of sucks in standard, to be honest. It seems like it's going to average 2, so it's like worse Sneeds, except that it has like upside, right? So it's probably better than the Sneeds, frankly, but not enough, I would assume. Who knows? Then we have Kerrigan. Kerrigan is the one faction hero that I think is just good enough to play on its own. I think it's just a good card. So this is, what do we... Warlock, Death Knight, Demon Hunter, and Hunter. Our Zerg. Oh, it says right here. That's so handy. All right. So a 7 mana hero card, summon 2/2/5 Brood Queens, and deal 3 damage to all enemies. So you're already dealing 3 damage to all enemies. 3 is like the perfect number to be decent. Like if you deal less than 3, it feels like you're missing a lot of things, but as long as something does 3 damage to all enemies, it feels like it clears a lot of boards. So it's got that going for it. It's a good break point. It also summons 2/2/5 Brood Queens, which at the end of your turn, you get a larva that transforms into a random Zerg minion. So you get, like, each turn, they're giving you one of these larvae. Each of them is giving you cards. So they're pretty decent bodies, and you're guaranteed to get 2 of them right away. So 3 damage to all enemies, including your opponent's face, 5 armor, 2/2/5 bodies that both give you card advantage. Already really good. And then the hero power is deal 3 damage randomly split among all enemies, improved by Zerg minions you control. So if you're using this on 9, it's already dealing 5 because it just comes with 2 minions. That's if you didn't have any board presence before. So I think this card is nuts, frankly. Like in standard, I think it's going to be disgusting. So I don't know. I would expect this card to get nerfed. I think it's really good. Then we have a Zergling. So it's a Zerg neutral. 1 for 1/1 Battlecry, summon a copy of this. It's literally Wolpertinger. Play it on 8 with this. I don't know. No, play it before this and then play it on 9, I guess. I don't know. Just like after you play that on 7, you just play this any turn that you're going to use the hero power. You get a bunch of extra damage. It's crazy. So is this something you can just run, or is it exclusively a token? So you can just play this in all the Zerg decks. Is this good enough to play on its own? Summoning 2 of them alongside Kerrigan and her many other good effects seems great. Do you really want to drop one of these on 3? Maybe you do, honestly. Maybe you do. Like, in standard at least. Seems kind of okay. Because, like, you want to have Zerg minions out for your various Zerg stuff, so. And, like, some of the Zerg minions are good. So, as the larva transforms, maybe you get something really nice. Then we have Nidus Worm. 3 mana, draw 2 Zerg cards, they cost 1 less. Alright, this is like Arcane Intellect, tutor your Zerg stuff, and discount it. Seems okay. Why is Kerrigan so angry? Kerrigan has a lot to be angry about, Guapo. Alright, so spawning pool, neutral location, you get a 1/1 Zergling, so you get this Zergling. And this isn't just a token, right? Yeah. It wouldn't show up in the top if it was just a token, I don't think. And then Death Rattle, your Zerg minions have Rush this turn. And Demon Hunter cared about making your minions have Rush. So that's 2 things you can run that gives your Zergs Rush. And the Zergling is pretty good. Get a Zergling. You get 2 Zergling with this, it's pretty decent. And a lot of cards care about having multiple Zerg. So I think getting a Zergling is good. Right. But yeah, that's good. The Zerg decks are going to go hard in standard. I should play standard when this comes out. So that's all the Zerg stuff. Artanis. I also think this one is pretty decent. So 7 mana, summon 2 3/4 zealots with charge. Already pretty decent enough, just like by a couple years ago standard. The game has gotten a little away from 2 3/4 chargers by now, so I don't think that's enough to carry the hero card on its own. But your Protoss minions cost you less this game, so it's an important discount for all the Protoss synergies. 2 for give a friendly minion and your hero +1 attack this turn and Divine Shield. This is actually the first time I'm reading this hero power. Is that good? Poor whatchamacallhim. Alakir, the WoW exclusive one. Give a friendly minion and your hero +1 attack this turn and Divine Shield. That seems pretty decent. Note that the Zealots are 3 mana Protoss cards, so they're 1 mana with an Artanis discount. All right, I'll think about that. And it seems pretty good with Rogue, right? Like, you play this and then your Templar costs nothing. Void Ray, 3 for 3/1, Rush, Divine Shield, Battlecry. If this costs 0, gain +2/+2. Interesting. Rush, Divine Shield, 3/1 for 3 seems like, I don't know, that, like, compare that to the first Rush minions that were introduced in Wishwood. We've come a long way, huh? But yeah, so if you can get this to 0, it's a 5/3. Which doesn't seem that hard. But also, I think that's one of the big differences between Artanis and Kerrigan is, like, if you don't get Artanis or other similar cards, your cards just don't work. Whereas, like, the Zerg stuff just kind of functions okay. All right. Then we have a 4-cost spell, draw 2 Protoss cards, summon a 3/4 Zealot with charge. Huh. I mean, that's good, isn't it? You draw 2 Protoss cards and then you summon a 3/4 Zealot with charge. You can prep it out. Isn't this good? Seems good to me. I guess I'm kind of only thinking about it in the context of Rogue. Huh. I don't know, it seems kind of cool. The other stuff is so slow, right? Like 3/4 charge. How well does that fit with discount your 12 mana minions so that they're playable, right? It seems like it clashes a bit, right? Yeah. Warp Gate, your next Protoss minion costs 3 less. That's really good. Has 3 charges, you can stack them. Yep, and it's a good card. It's a necessary card. I feel like the druid is going to have a really easy time making its big minion playable, and priest and mage are going to have a tough time. Like, if you don't draw like very specific things, they're just sitting in your hand doing nothing for so long. So I don't know. I have faith in the druid one, I guess. Photon Cannon, 2 for deal 3 damage. If it kills a minion, your Protoss minions cost 1 less this game. Is that a game changer? Oh my god, like, I feel like the rogue Protoss is gonna be okay, right? I don't know that you even run Warp Gate in that. You just run this. Maybe you do, I don't know. You probably run Warp Gate. You probably do. But I don't know, the rogue ones seem pretty playable. You see Scoundrel. I forget what Scoundrel does. Anyways, Terran. So Jim Raynor, 7 mana for Battlecry. Relaunch every starship that you launched this game. Yeah, too bad Priest can't run it. We'd play okay, so it was made known to me that Starship, like, Priest is the only class that isn't going to have Starship synergy, and after this mini set. And it's so funny that the only wild Starship deck is Starship Priest. the only class that didn't get specific support. So we use the 4 mana neutral star piece that Death Rattle gains armor, and we just keep resummoning it over and over and over again and stack like a jillion armor. That's how you play Starship Priest. But it's the only deck that's manifested in wild whatsoever. Mage doesn't have it though. I believe you. I don't remember. SCV, so 1 for 1/3 mech. Your next starship launch costs 2 less. Okay. Ghost, so 4 for 6/2 stealth. Battlecry, if you're building a starship, destroy the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand. Is this good? Oh yeah, I didn't actually go over the full of Jim Raynor. My bad. I'm sorry. Summon a 2/2 Marine with taunt. Give your Terran minions +2 attack. This kind of feels like Alakir-esque, where the first one doesn't, like, the battle cry doesn't really mesh with the hero power. Like, the hero power is good, but as far as like making a swarm deck with Jim Raynor, but like, then you have to, if you're going to build a swarm deck, are you really building your deck to be starshipy? I guess you are, right? Because it's only buffing Terran things. So, and all the Terran stuff involves starships. So maybe you are. I feel like I need to play with this one. Artanis, I can really grasp how good it is. Kerrigan just seems like cracked in any deck with or without Zerg. But I'm having a hard time visualizing this manifesting. So yeah, next starship launch costs 2 less. So this has Battlecry. If you're building a starship, destroy the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand. If we're doing like a rush down your opponent deck, do we want to play a 4 for 6/2 with stealth? I don't know that we do. I mean, it might be good. And like, depending on how these play out, you might just have to cram every Terran card in every Terran deck. So maybe this is good. Starship Shutter Shaman. Oh yeah, we could Starship Shutter Shaman. Just delete our opponent's hand with Ghost. I'm in. I'm ready. All right. 3 for Liftoff. Draw 2 Terran cards. So this one draws Terran cards, not just minions like the other ones do. Summon a 2/1 star piece with an effect when launched. So these have like specific little tiny binky effects. So when this is launched, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. When this is launched, deal 2 damage to all enemies. So are these like their own starship How much do these cost to launch? Is it the same? It still costs 5? This is launched, deal 2 damage to all enemies. When this is launched, gain 3 random bonus effects. This is launched, gain 7 armor. That's a lot of armor. When this is launched, summon 2/2/2 Marines with taunt. And there's our Marine with taunt. Interesting. I feel like I'm not understanding something about these, but anyways. Summon a 2/1 Starship piece with an effect with launched. So these are just... They're summoning all the like various like ships that the Terrans have is what these are. So you can get them from Starport, you can get them from Liftoff, and that's it. We've gone through all of it. All right. I do think I might struggle with Terran. I'm not 100% sure, because like some of the Terran cards seem pretty weak sauce, and like they rely on the Starship mechanic, which has proven to be a tough sell for Wild. So we'll have to see. The fact that they discount launching matters, but like the Zerg deck for one, I don't know what Zerg class I'm most excited about. It might be Demon Hunter, honestly. Like the Lurker seemed really cool to me. I do like Baneling Barrage. I like Viper. Hard to say. Like I'm really excited to play Zerg, at least in standard. I'm definitely gonna build all these all these things in Wild, right? And other than maybe Terran, I think it's gonna be good enough for like my style of content. I'm pretty happy about that. I think the easiest deck, like full on, the best card in the mini set, I think, is Kerrigan Hero card, because that you can just play it on its own and it's good. But as far as like which of these packages am I going to have the easiest time building in Wild, it's definitely going to be Druid. Like this stuff seems so playable to me. And this card is really good. And so yeah, I don't know, but like it doesn't look game changing, right? So what can run Kerrigan? Hunter can run Kerrigan. Hunter isn't a deck in Wild. Death Knight can run Kerrigan, not a deck in Wild, although it could be. Like we could run it in like just Blood Control as a value card. And then Warlock, yeah, I could see a Renathal Zerg Warlock maybe. And then, but not like meta, just marshy stuff. And then Demon Hunter, which again isn't a deck in Wild. So I think Kerrigan might see play in Wild, but I don't think the Zerg is going to manifest in Wild. And I don't think any of this is going to be like meta. I don't really see a meta Starcraft deck in Wild for sure, but I could definitely see some meta Starcraft archetypes in Standard. Like I think a couple of these, like the Druid, Rogue, a couple of the Zerg classes, maybe DK, Demon Hunter, Hunter, maybe Warlock, probably not. Could see play in Standard. The Terran one, I just like, I don't know. I'm gonna guess no, but the Terran Warrior, I think, you know, Warrior is starting to feel to me kind of like Druid, where it has the defensive tools necessary that like, if I want to play something goofy in Warrior, I can do it. So I have some faith that I could pull Terran off in Wild with Warrior, but yeah, I think that this is the only like real card in this set as far as Wild is concerned, but you know, I don't know what deck it would go in. And that's the last of my video. Follow, subscribe, and tell all your friends to watch my stuff, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.